Hello guys, Shockwave came back here once again. Yes, you saw the title of the video. How would Guts act? Well, I don't even think that's the title of the video. How would Griffith react to seeing Guts now? Yeah, that'd be the title of the video. How would Griffith react to seeing Guts now? And I've always had this question in my mind. Cause me personally, I want Griffith to die. I honestly want him to die. He deserves to be cleaved in half, just like that girl at the beginning of the I think it's at the beginning of the series. He needs to die. I personally hate him. I hate Griffith with a passion, with an undying passion. Some people might say it's irrational. I got good reason to hate this bastard, alright? He deserves to die. But putting my feelings aside about Griffith and Casca, who lied to Guts right there in his face. Oh, I will come with you. No, just look at Griffith. you lying. Alright then. Alright then. Guts can never have a happy ending, can he? But first, to make question, how would Griffith? Reason I asked the question, well, how would Griffith react? Because it goes back to the whole reason why Guts left in the first place, which caused Griffith to go down his downward spiral, which caused Griffith, 1 year after sleeping with Princess Charlotte, and all because of that. All because this is Griffith. This is one of the reasons I hate Griffith, because everything, I mean everything, it's because of him. It's his fault. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who lies to you. It's his fault. It's always his fault. And some might say, how's his fault? Number one, Guts was living a pretty okay life, alright, before he met that punk ass Band of Hawk. He was living a pretty okay life. And then, of course, Corkus like, alright, guys. I don't even hate Corkus. I like Corkus. But alright, guys. And I don't like Guts. We gotta go down there and rob him. Get that punk ass cleaved right in half, kill the horse and everything. And then, of course, alright, Casca, go help him out. Well, I gotta go help him out. Go help him out. Go help him. And then she shows up. She's getting the business. And then Griffith's wanna show up and stab somebody, of course. And then, alright, Guts. I want you, Guts. You're gonna have to fight for your freedom. I love Berserk, but I have reason to hate Griffiths. And the entire downward spiral with Guts and the Band of Hawk, and the way how I was treating Guts early days. And just all this unnecessary stuff. I'm a little rusty. And it's just, after all this, right, after everything that has happened, after everything that was talked about or brought up, I've always wondered, personally, if Guts was to ever see Griffiths again, that's not like the whole Band of Hawk memorial, if that was to happen, would Griffiths finally consider Guts to be his friend? I always wondered that. Because the whole reason that Guts left, because Griffiths didn't see him as a friend, didn't see him as equal, he just saw pretty much like a tool, like he was just somebody else who's a part of the group. When after all these years, I become a top commander, we pretty much become best friends, and I'm nothing but a tool to you, really? You could never respect me as a friend? Alright then, I'm gonna go out and try to carve my own path like you and see what happens, and then Griffiths can't take it. Griffiths, of course, he's like he lost his best girlfriend. He done lost a wife or a spouse or something. It was just like, Guts, no! He go out there and pull any old woman, and it is a downward spiral. Because after all that, I always wondered, would Griffiths consider Guts to be his friend now? Is that a possibility? After seeing him become the Black Swordsman, after seeing him get the Berserker army, and seeing the pretty much parallel reflection, Griffith's got a group, Guts got a group now. They're pretty much both in their own way a pseudo Band of Hawk. After all that, after all the bloodshed and all that, would Griffiths finally, like before the fight even happened, finally consider Guts to be his friend? 'Cause I can't really say Guts is equal to Griffith when they first met at the Band of Hawk Memorial, because that was still Black Swordsman Guts. No matter which way you want to look at it, that was still, the beast Guts, the savage. He's gonna cut down everybody and anybody in his path. All right, Julia, get out the way. If you want it, you gonna get it too. Different breed, best Guts. But so I can't say at that time he was on the same level as Griffiths, as in not just in power, but just in like dynamics and everything else. Sure, there was parallel, but it wasn't the same. But if you look at it now, and the way everything shaped up to be, was Griffiths finally considered Guts to be his friend? Cause like even then, remember, this is the same Griffiths. You don't really have too many emotions anymore. Like he traded his entire humanity for a new body. Well, it's not even just for a new body. No, it wasn't just for a new body. It was for his ideal of a dream. That's what he traded for. Because at least for a new body, I would be able to give him a benefit of a doubt. Alright then, you sacrificed everybody. You went through a year of suffering. And I'll be disappointed. I'll be mad, but it's reasonable. But you didn't make your decision until you saw my face. And then after, she's like, you know, Koska, you're looking pretty nice right now. Pretty nice. Alright, you son of a gun. This is about fixing yourself. This is about proving that you're better. I don't see why Guts, who never really had, who really hasn't done anything compared to Griffiths, and Griffiths have the inferior. I don't understand. I'm still conflicted about that. About the whole, what does Griffiths have to prove towards Guts after he became Femento? What was the point of all that? What did it prove? Because Guts already seen you as a better man, so I don't see what did that entire thing prove to be better than. Cause I knew the jealousy was always there ever since he saw Koska and Guts look at each other when he was getting rescued, and the whole wild incident. So it's not like it wasn't brewing by itself. But then, I guess you could say it was an attempted rape by Griffiths when he fell on top of her. I don't know what that was. He was trying to accomplish something. It was not working out for him. But overall, even with all that, even with my personal hatred of Griffith, it's sad that I still like the character, but I want him to die so bad. I really do. Because I always wondered, well, if Guts of Berserk is getting a new chapter, and some of the teaser images, Guts and Koska do see the Moonlight Child, and we don't know when, if Griffith's going to switch back, or this is going to be the final. I always thought, like, even though Kentaro Miura passed away, he still was working on that final chapter, and he planned on finishing that one final chapter, so I'm not expecting the entire series to continue. I'm just expecting to get this one last chapter he wanted, and that's it. Even for all that, even if Berserk was never going to end with Griffith getting cleaved in half, alright? Or like Griffith was going to die some other type of way, the guy has to get taken down some other type of way. Maybe Skull might hop in the tag team of Guts, whatever might happen. But after all of this, it'll be very Griffiths-like for him to finally accept Guts as his equal, as a friend, if they was able to meet up again. And it's just the way he is. It's just the way Griffiths is. You just can't help it. Because after all this, it's more than likely Griffith's going to finally consider Guts his equal in some type of way, without even fighting him. Just seeing him again after all this time. And maybe that might have something to do with the Berserker on it, or how Guts have changed, and no longer having the true interest of just purely killing Griffiths. Well, actually, take that back, he still does. That was the whole point of taking Koska to Elfheim in the first place, was to take Koska to a safe place for Guts to do what he wants. Get back on the road again with Pups and Skull Knight. Let's go! Back to the good old days. Bring Farnese and Supperco and back on the road again. Let's go. The good times before the Dark Ages. Before the Dark Ages. But yeah, I always wondered that. I always wondered. It always was a pondering question to me. Because it really would be a perfect response to Griffiths. Because to me, it's not one of those things where Griffiths would say it out of spite or just to antagonize Guts. It'll be really one of those blind, ignorant type things where you just, well, I can't even say blind or ignorant. It'd be more like, I say blind, inconsiderate type things Griffith would actually say. He is that type of inconsiderate type, not to consider somebody else's feelings, even before he became Femento. So it would be so surprising that after all this, after the sacrifice of the Band of the Hawk, after Guts going on his 2-year rampage, after all this stuff that has went down between Guts and Griffiths, it wouldn't be too surprising to me, in my opinion, if after all this time, Griffiths finally actually considered Guts his equal. He finally considered Guts his friend. After all this time. Now, maybe it's a strange concept, but that's the way I was seeing it going, the type of way. Rather if they fight or don't fight, Guts and Griffiths, I doubt they ever have like another good old conversation that would last more than 10 pages. Like an actual real conversation. It'll be more or less like just like a like final hoorah type of thing. But don't be too surprised, in my opinion, you ever see Griffiths just be like, you know, Guts, after all this time, after all this stuff he's been through, seeing you how you are now, I can consider you to be a friend. And it'll be another one of those moments of how would Guts react to this? After everything that Griffiths have done, after he done did all of this and that, would it be instantly I'm gonna cleave you in half? Would it be an epiphany moment. What would it be? How would Guts' reaction be? That would be the question, because I wouldn't expect too much from Miyamoto Kentara's team to actually finish it by themselves, unless he did leave behind a manuscript. And if he was planning for, if a situation was to happen, if he was to lose his life or anything was to happen, then he leave behind a manuscript that they'll just draw the rest of it, and the story's already done on paperwork. I'm sure people would still be judging the art and stuff, but that wouldn't really matter. So it's just, if that would be the case, then I would say that, but it was just, they'll just be winging it. Yeah, I don't know about that. But overall, yeah, that's pretty much been the video. That's just been an interesting subject of conversation. It's just how would Griffith finally consider Guts to be his friend after all this time? All this, somebody say, oh, they haven't talked and do something like that. Look, we've seen Griffith in the Golden Age art. This is an unusual man by every sense of the word. He's not a normal specimen. He never was going to be. Because technically he was always destined to become Fermento anyway, but it's just, he never was going to be a normal specimen in the first place. So him to say, hey Guts, after all this time, after the rape and the murder and all that, Guts, I actually consider you to be my friend. Even though, cause like, doing like the whole Band of the Hawk memorial, he didn't really feel anything at all. Yeah, you could put that up to Griffith's feeling inconsiderate. It's kind of like say, oh, Griffith's lost all those emotions when he became Fermento. I call bullshit. And the reason why, I believe he just hyped up how inconsiderate he was towards humanity. Because remember, he didn't even care for the Band of the Hawks. He didn't care for Judo, Pippin, Corcus, Gaskin. He didn't care for anybody. The only way he cared for them is as a tool, and that's it. Oh, but he sacrificed his body to the government and got his cheeks blown out for some money to help out his troops. That was it. That wasn't no, I actually care for them. Arguably, everybody was replaceable in the Band of Hawks besides from Guts, and that was it. Because the only person whose death actually broke Griffiths, oh no, only person who would actually leave to break Griffiths will be Guts, and that's it. That'll be it. Nobody else would have an effect on him. If Kaka was to die, I doubt Griffiths would feel anything. Like, and no one could tell me otherwise. If Casca was to get killed before the eclipse, Griffiths would feel nothing. If Skull Knight would have never showed up, right, and it was just Guts, Casca, and Griffiths, do you believe Griffiths would have just let them live? It's a question. I would say it'd be 50-50, if whether he would or not. But let's be honest here. Would he just let them live after all that? I don't know. I said this, like, he could have, he could have not. It depends. Because some people want to try to argue, oh, Fermento is not Griffiths and this and that. Fermento is Griffiths. But just like anybody else who became an apostle, whether the apostle or God hand, becoming an apostle just heightens the, I can't really say basic traits, but you're more like an extreme version of yourself, pretty much. It's the same thing with Wild, same thing with Rosalina, same thing with the Snake Baron, same thing with every apostle, Zod and everybody. There's just a heightened version of what there already was, and that's it. Now, I don't like the whole retarded, what's his name? I don't like the whole retarded Grundle backstory that writer came up with. That's an atrocity. But I make that as loosely canon of what some of the things that happened, but not everything. But even him, to a certain degree, was already like he was before when he joined the Falcon of the Hawk. Before he was even an apostle. He just heightens what you already were. Like, Griffith was already inconsiderate towards his own men. He literally was. So him not being mad at Guts really wasn't him not having the emotions. It was just Griffith just being inconsiderate like he always had. Like seriously, Casca, her entire dynamic for most of the Band of Hawk was the fact that she was actually replaced by a nobody named Guts. And that was it. The same, actually you can't even say that. Griffith just never looked at Guts. Never looked at Casca the same way he looked at Guts. That never did happen. It was the reason why she was mad in the first place. Because she expected I was going to be his tool, I was going to be his ultimate weapon, I was going to be somebody who truly helped bring Griffith's dream into fruition. That wasn't what it was, now wasn't it? And she got instantly replaced by the time Guts showed up. Instantly. And she took it all on Guts. For no apparent reason. And then she want to break down afterwards, which I still enjoy to say. I don't hate Costco or Griffiths, I really don't. Just some of this is just some light jokes and things like that. But yeah, She never saw. They never saw the. Griffith never saw him the same. So some people want to, like I said earlier, try to say, "Oh, Griffith, he's changed." That's the same person. Like his basic personality traits have just been heightened. Griffith was always inconsiderate. Sure, a man did try to kill him, but he sent Guts off to go kill somebody, and just randomly, by like with no type of back room, no nothing, just start blabbering out. Well, you know, anybody who follows me, I never see them as a friend. That's include Casca too. That include Casca too. His own left right hand man. He don't feel nothing for her either. So it's not just Fermento. Oh, he can't be Griffith because this and that. Fermento is Griffith. Just the fact that his personality traits have been heightened. He's always been inconsiderate, just like how Wild always wanted to be a sex fiend. And look, the old man become a sex fiend. He was so much of a pervert, he wasn't able to get none, and now look at him, just snatching butt left and right. Left and right. No different from Immortal Zod. I always wanted to be... I always been curious about Immortal Zod's backstory and why he became an apostle in the first place. Because really... He lived for 300 years, but who did he sacrifice to even be able to live that long? Well, to me, he's not living that long. Like, why would he even use the bailment to become Immortal Zod in the first place? Sure, isn't it like he's having some type of midlife crisis over it? Oh, nothing's going right in my life, and why did I choose to become an apostle? But why? Out of all characters, it seems like Immortal Zod, his entire backstory would be the most interesting, besides from Skull Knights. Besides from Skull Knights, Immortal Zod and how he became the Bee would be some of the most interesting stuff throughout this series. Sadly, we might not ever get to see that, but still some speculation questions. Still, because it looked like any other apostle, especially like characters like the Count and the Snake Baron. The Snake Baron, in my opinion, was always going to be a cannibal, no matter what. No matter what, he was always going to be a cannibal. The Count was literally just a hyped up version of himself. This is the same man who butchered his own life and everybody, and he felt nothing for them. Just like how afterwards he was just put on steroids. Just like how afterwards he started to see his daughter as a potential love interest. It just heightens, in my opinion, what's already there. Arguably, the bailment shows your true self. Pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Cause my whole thing with Griffith is, Griffith didn't make his decision about sacrificing the bear and the hawk until he saw Guts. He was still like the same Griffith we knew before, but as soon as he saw Guts, he was like, nah, you were the only one. You were the only one to make me forget my dream. That was your own fault, you idiot. And that's the one thing I can never forgive. It was only until he saw Guts he made the decision. He didn't care about a new body. He didn't care about anything else. As soon as he saw Guts, he's like, yeah, I sacrifice everybody. I accept. So I always hate this piece of shit. And it's not one of those love-hate relationships. I actually legitimately hate this man. Give me the Berserk armor and the Dragon Sword, and I'll cleave him in half myself. Jeez, easy work. Cause I can never forgive Griffith what he's done. Never. I just can't do it. Cause everything that has happened has been because of him. Because of it being purely because of him. Nobody else. Nobody else. And it's always him. Always. And it seems like Griffith's never got to face the consequences of his actions. Never. In his entire life. It has never happened. Or somebody said, oh, but what about the 1 year thing? That all of that was reversed just like that. All of that was reversed, literally, in days. In days, since the rescue. In days! So that 1 year, that made one mistake that cost him 1 year, pretty much meant nothing. Got a brand new body and everything. It meant absolutely nothing. But Guts, every breath he takes, there's a problem. Every single decision he makes, there's a problem. Cause it seemed like Guts was quite content with his life after he left the Bear and the Hawks. Cause what did he do? He went to go do the exact same thing before he met the Bear and the Hawks. So it's just like, why? Because some people want to sit around and act like the Bear and the Hawks will make Guts' life better, no, it made it worse. As much as I love Judo, Corkus, Pippin, and everybody else, the sad reality is, if the Guts would have never met them, Guts would be a lot better off. A lot better off. But look at him now. Look at him now. Look at him now. Like, even now, the whole Costa can't even see his face. It's just like, look, Guts, have you forgotten why you here? You're not here to ride up to the sunset with Casca. You're here to drop this woman on before you can get back to business, like was originally planned. So it is what it is with that. I don't know you guys' thoughts and opinions. How do you believe Griffiths would react to seeing Guts now? Will you believe that Griffiths would finally consider Guts to be his friend? I personally do believe he would say that to Guts. It's just the way Griffiths is. He's always been inconsiderate or just outright oblivious to other people's feelings. He always have. And it's just the way he's always been. Always. It's just the fact that now it's just been heightened and put on steroids. That's the only difference. If people want to act like he's changed, he haven't changed. This has always been who Griffin is. This is who Griffin's I've always been. It's just that Fermento is Griffiths on steroids. Just push to the max. And that's it. Because he's always been inconsiderate. He's always been selfish. It's always been about himself. That's it. Even his feelings for Princess Charlotte was never there. He was just to push himself up in the world. And that's it. He's just always been who Griffin is from the beginning. The worst boss fight in the game. I hate this fucking chicken. But yeah, I've been shocked. We got thoughts and opinions about how do you believe that Griffith would react to seeing Guts now? Do you believe he will finally consider Guts to be his friend after all this, after all the death, pain, and suffering? Do you believe after all that, would you believe that finally, after all this time, that Griffith will finally consider Guts to be his actual legitimate friend in a way? Or do you just believe he'll just be the same old usual? Because unlike most people, I don't make up excuses for this son of a bitch. He is who he is. A garbage human being. A sack of shit. Who always been inconsiderate and only cared for himself. And like always, they always give you somebody like Guts. It's always somebody like Guts who gotta clean up somebody else's mess. Always. No matter what. There'll always be some idiot trying to ruin the world. And always gonna be somebody like Guts to fix it all back again. Because arguably, in Berserk, we might just get a Fist of the North Star type ending. Not with the whole final arc. I understand why people... I forgot where I heard it from, because people are like, oh, the final arc is like this and that. The final arc is just pretty much just filler. But what I mean by a Fist of the North Star type ending, I mean by it is... Guts just might just go off by himself and that'll just be it. I don't know. I don't see that relationship between him and Casca working out too well. Especially after that whole betrayal. The betrayal. You lied to him, Casca. You lied to him. You lied right into his face. And all for what? Even if you didn't want to live the bed of the Hawks, Guts could have helped out. Nah, you just need to go. Like the last time he left and y'all barely could survive without him. Alright then. You can't make up your own mind. Alright then. Alright then. It is what it is. When Guts leaves, it's a problem. When Guts tried to stay, it's a problem. Especially when you was going through your emotional rant and you couldn't accept when he was replacing you in Griffith's eyes. You couldn't accept that. You couldn't accept it at all. It was unfair. It wasn't right. I used to be Griffith's son. But it's been my shop. Got thoughts on the opinions about the current thoughts about Berserk and do you believe that after all this time, Griffiths will finally consider Guts to be his friend? Because I personally do believe that. I don't think that just was like a one-off thing that Griffiths said. I do believe, in my opinion, that after all this time, Griffiths will finally consider him to be his friend. And it's the Griffiths thing to actually do, because the way Griffiths is, it's the way Griffiths have always been. It's just the sad reality of who he always was. You know, some people might try to make up their own sense of reasoning or what is for butts about Griffiths, but let's be honest here and admit the truth. This is who Griffiths have always been. And this is who Griffiths will always be. So if you've been Shop King, we got thoughts and opinions. If you've been Shop King and peace. I look got thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And remember, like, comment, subscribe, and check out the webcomic and peace.